Welcome everybody to Formula Wombat, the channel for F1 fans, by F1 fans, from F1 fans that really don't know that much about F1.
We basically like things that go fast and vroom. And also wombats.
And wombats. We do like wombats as well. So in today's episode, to kick off our brand new podcast and our new show, we are going to be giving you our 2025 F1 predictions, both for the drivers and the constructors for this coming season.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Very much so.
Exciting season. What is going to happen? What is going to happen?
Well, that's what we're here to discuss. We also have a few things on the table. We have our cheers, beers from our other channel, the Flying Wombat TV, all about beer banter and bloody good times. We have our Wombat mascot here in the middle that's going to give us all kinds of insight throughout the season. And on my right, over in front of me, the FIA swear jar. Every time we find an F1 driver swearing, we're going to drop money into the jar. Every time one of us accidentally drops something, we're going to drop money in the jar, and then we're going to come up with some kind of a challenge to see who takes home the kitty at the end of the season.
It will be real money as well.
Someone will win money, and someone will go fast. Now, I was trying to think of something, but nothing came to mind.
Yeah, I know.
Let's kick off.
Let's start with the slowest driver.
I think
on
so.
the track then.
I think so.
Talking about fast things.
So I flipped over my sheet, coming with the slowest driver on the track for 2025. It absolutely pains me to say it because I really, really love him. I've got the Hulk coming in 20th.
Oh, I knew it was going to be one of them.
It has to be. It has to be. And that's
You
nothing.
have Hulk.
Yeah. Who do you have?
I have Gabriel Bortoleto.
Interesting.
I think we have it for the same reason.
Very likely. And that's
Yeah.
because, well, do you want to give the punchline?
Bro, they're driving a steak.
And that steak is well done.
The steak is very well done, man.
That's
They were not impressive doing the practice at Bahrain, so
yeah. They failed at testing. I think everybody knew going into this year that Steak, Kick Sauber, whatever you want to call it, was going to have a really hard 2025 season. I think they have written off this season personally because it's all about transforming into Audi from 2026. So it doesn't make sense to spend that much time, energy, or resources on this season when this season is really a write-off.
I still think though Hulk would do better than Gabriel. Like my Hulk position's very different from yours.
Hulk, as much experience as he had, has been in the sport for a while and he's never managed to cinch a podium. I think Bortoleto will. Not in a Steak, obviously, but in his future career, I think he's got the potential.
Obviously, mine is the complete opposite reason. Nico has the experience, Bortoleto is the rookie. I think the experience could matter in the end.
Here's my counter to that. And we've got a lot of drivers to work through, so we can't spend too long on this. But my counter to that is last season, we had Valtteri, the Bogan Bottas, up against Zhou Guanyu, and who came out on top? Experience actually failed there. Zhou, being the younger gun, came through. Well, I think he didn't have the mullet early enough, so the mullet wasn't there to streamline him early enough in the season. All right, next up, 19th.
I'll go for this one.
Sure.
I have Isaac Hadjar.
Interesting.
Who do you have?
Bortoleto. For the very same reason we just discussed. So my reasons do not change. It's because that steak is well done.
My reasoning is he's going to do better than Gabriel because he's in a racing bull.
Yes.
Doesn't have the experience. He's an aggressive driver. He could get frustrated easily.
I can see that.
A mini Yuki. Literally same height.
I can see that. I'm just giving his RB a little more credit than a Steak.
Yeah.
I just think that given his car, and like an RB is not superior, it's not that fantastic at the moment. We've seen it in testing, it's underperforming, but it's still a better car than the Steak. So I just have to put it above either of the Kick Sauber drivers.
Fair enough. I think that settles 19.
Coming in 18th, I have Isaac Hadjar.
I have Jack Doohan.
Interesting. Well, I put in Isaac for the same reasons you have.
Yeah.
Just barely above a Steak, simply because he's in a car that is better than a truck. What about you?
I mean, it's pretty much the same. Like, he's a wild card. You don't know. I think he has potential, but I don't think he'll be better than Yuki, to be honest. Like,
all right, moving into 17th. Who do you have?
Nico.
You think he can climb that many places?
Yeah. I think the experience will beat out the rookies. I truly believe that.
Okay, I have Esteban.
Yeah, I can understand that.
So I understand your position. I think it would require a act of God situation, a la like a, 4 red flags, mega wet race for that Sauber to get anywhere.
He has the potential to do very good in one race, and that will be his points for that season.
I think
and that
so.
could beat out all the other drivers.
I think, but it would, yeah.
You gotta think about it. They're fighting for position 10.
Yes.
They're literally fighting for
Yes.
like 9 and 10. He'll have one race where he'll come 7th.
Yeah, look, if we have a repeat
so.
of Brazil last year where we had the rain, we had like 4 red flags, including qualifying, then I could absolutely see him managing to squeeze into an opportunistic spot. That experience coming into play, particularly against so many rookies being on the track. I could see him scoring a couple of points, and that being enough to move him up a few places.
Why do you have Esteban?
Look, Esteban's in a Haas. I do think Haas is going to be relatively strong this year. They had good momentum through the end of last year. They kind of got sniped near the end of the season by Alpine.
Yeah,
they should have finished better than they did. But he's Esteban, and he's just so unpredictable. He's volatile, he's unpredictable. He's got a tendency to be hot-headed on track. And for those reasons, I think he lacks the consistency required to be higher on the ranks.
I agree with that because I have him as my 16th driver on the list.
Yeah.
So I have him 1 above.
Yep.
Because he's beating out. You've got Jack Doohan quite high.
I do have him. I've got hopes in our Aussie. In 16th, I have Yuki though.
Wow. Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think similarly for the reasons that Isaac has gone quite low.
Yeah.
Look, the RB is one of the worst cars on track.
Yeah.
There's just no beating around that bush. So
it's the best looking on track.
It's a nice looking car this year. The livery is quite good.
It's a very popular looking car.
I'm a fan of the livery, but I just can't see Yuki pulling through, even though Yuki's no longer a rookie. He's now a tenured driver, and he has good racecraft, but he is somewhat unpredictable. He's tamed himself and reeled himself in over the last few seasons, but he's driving a piece of garbage. Yeah. So unless RB pulls something out.
I think Haas is going to be below RB this year though. Not by much, but below.
Interesting.
In terms of race pace, score, points and everything. Slightly below.
Interesting. We'll touch on the manufacturers, on the makers after this, but in 15th, I have Jack.
I have Lance Stroll.
I like the way you think. I do like the way you
Stroll
think.
Moments. We all know why. we don't need to say it.
We don't need to say why Stroll is Stroll. He just is. It's like gravity. You can't fight it. But I can't. Yeah. Look, I think even for Stroll, that's low. The Aston is, in my opinion, still best of the rest.
I don't. I think it's going to change this year. Fernando, Stroll. He's on. He's
Stroll.
He's reclining.
He's going for a stroll. In 14th, I have Ollie.
I have Alexander Albon. He's a decent driver, but he's not a smooth operator.
How long have you been waiting to say that? Of course, if you're new to F1, he's alluding to little Carlitos.
I think he's a good driver. The car has looked great during practice, to be honest. Like, that's been a huge surprise. I just don't think he has it though. It's been a few years. He was in the Red Bull. He looked decent, but in the Williams, he's just not having it.
Look, I agree with you. I think he's got more racecraft though than... I think he should be a few places higher. I think he's got more racecraft
compared to Behrman? Yeah.
Compared to Behrman, I think Albon has... Look, I think Ollie has more potential. I think Alex has more proven racecraft. I'm not saying Alex is the greatest driver on the grid. There's a reason he got booted from Red Bull.
Yeah.
But he's consistent enough and has always beaten his fellow teammate since leaving Red Bull.
Yeah.
And I think that counts for something in being higher than 14th on the grid. Ollie's in a Haas. I think he's aggressive. I think he's got a lot of potential. He goes for the closing doors and he goes for the overtakes. But he's still a rookie. And I think he's still got learning to do. He'll score points. I don't see him getting too much higher than 14th in a Haas.
It leads into 13th, which I have Ollie Behrman.
Yep.
Because I was tossing up between those two, I had Ollie Behrman beating Albon.
Yep.
Just because I think Behrman has the experience with the Haas vehicle. He's a Ferrari Academy. Haas has a Ferrari engine. It's very much in his world.
I see that. I see that.
So he has the experience. He's driven in the Brazil race, which was a shithole.
Yeah.
But he did prove himself in the Haas and the Ferrari car.
Look, where I see Ollie's win is that I think he's going to beat Esteban, and it's always important to beat your teammate, especially if you can do that in your rookie season. That says a lot.
I can see that happening because it's Esteban's first season in the Haas car as well.
And they have Toyota coming in, so I think it's probably too early to say how much of an impact Toyota can truly have. But throughout the season, Haas has a history of performing well at the start of a season and dropping off throughout the end. I think they're going to start relatively strong. It remains to be seen whether or not Toyota can keep them strong as the season progresses.
That is true.
And speaking of progressing, in 13th, I have a Stroll moment. I think that is as low as I can put him based on him having a car that is far too good for his skill set. Stroll is unfortunately one of those staples in the sport that as long as Daddy Stroll owns the team, we're not going to be rid of Lance. And he tries, but he's just not the same.
Not a happy-looking fellow.
He's not a happy-looking fellow. He does have a very grumpy resting face.
He needs some more wombats in his life.
Yeah, he does. And his car is superior to the other cars that I've listed thus far.
Yeah.
But he is Stroll, and he's not superior to the drivers around him.
Yeah. In 12...
Who did you have in 13th?
I had Ollie Behrman.
Yeah, Ollie. Right. Okay, yeah. In 12.
In 12, I had Pierre Gasly, purely because he's a beautiful Frenchman.
Pierre Gasly! Little nod to Danny Rick there.
The Alpine, I think, is a decent car. Like, they're like as mid as you can get. I think they're not good, but they're pretty mid.
They are pretty mid. I actually place Alex in 12th. I've got a little more faith in our Frenchman with the shaved head now, which is sad. But I've got Alex in 12th. I think Williams is going to be surprising this year. I think Williams as a whole, particularly under the leadership with James, I think they're taking huge strides forwards. I see James as like a mini Toto. He was basically his prodigy. He's very analytical, very data driven, and already just in the last year, there's been leaps and bounds of improvement. They have had a horrific year in terms of crashes last year, and they've had a history of having a decent A driver and a not so crash hot second driver. You know, you've had, like in most recent, like you had guys like Sargent, you had, what's his
Latifi!
The GOAT. I was blanking on the GOAT. So look, they've had a history of inconsistent driver lineups. I see the team improving, and I see Alex being a consistent enough performer, not necessarily putting in great flashes and great moments, but consistent enough that he should be up in 12th.
Yeah, I can understand that. Going on to 11th, who do you have?
Pierre Gasly!
Fair enough. We're pretty close with that. I have Yuki. Have you said Yuki yet?
I have said Yuki. I had him down in 16th.
Wow.
So there's a big difference between us there. You're putting a lot of faith in Yuki.
He's a Japanese nuke.
I don't know.
He's aggressive, he's fast, he wants to bomb the Koreans.
I think you might get the show cancelled in our first episode.
I'm not swearing yet. There's no money, but if there's going to be money in that jar, it's going to be Yuki Tsunoda.
I agree. He will not be listening to the FIA's regulations around swearing. Not a chance.
I think he has it though. I think he's got
That's quite high.
I have a feeling he will be faster than Albon, faster than Pierre Gasly.
Okay.
I'm not backing the car, I'm backing him.
I think it's a lot considering his car. I don't see him topping over Williams and Alpine drivers at the end of a season. I see Gasly coming in 11th. I think Alpine's been very promising in testing. I think it's going to be a very interesting midfield fight between Williams and Alpine. And I think Gasly has very wily racecraft. He is a clever driver. He's a very aggressive driver. And he's Mr. Consistent. He's the first F1 driver ever not to, of his own accord, cost his team $1 in damage.
That is pretty
in the history of F1. Not a single cent. It's impressive. Like, it is a record that no one ever thought possible. So I think Mr. Consistent can pull into 11th.
Number 10.
Number 10.
I think we have the same person.
Okay, I have a smooth operator. Little Carlitos Sainz Jr.
Yeah, I think he was just looking very good during practice. Like,
Very much so.
Like, on top somehow.
Well, I mean, he topped out in testing. That being said, it's testing and it's not race conditions, but it's promising.
It does beg the question whether Williams was just very good on that track. And weather-wise as well, like track, have different cars that are specialised on different tracks and everything. They're just slightly better and everything.
Yeah, that's true.
But it does look like the Williams have actually made a better car.
I
Significantly.
agree. For those same reasons, I have him in 10.
Yeah.
And in 9th, I have one of my favourite drivers ever, Fernando Alonso.
Oh, I have someone else. I have a rookie.
In 9th?
In 9th, I have a rookie.
That's a big call.
It's Kimi Antonelli.
Okay, he's in a Merc. I can see that. That's fair. That's fair.
Yes.
I would have placed Kimi higher. I have Fernando in 9th because that is basically the best position you can achieve if you're not in one of the big 4 teams.
I basically believe, I have him in 8th, so I have him one after. Experience matters. Dude's a world time champion.
2-time world champion.
2 times.
Yeah. That's true. He's got the pedigree, but his car is just a bomb compared to a Merc.
Yeah, I think.
And they've been abysmal in testing.
He knows how to drive on the road, unlike Stroll. Let's just say that.
That's true. That's true.
I think he has the attitude, the experience. Kimi Antonelli, he had like one practice race where they get to test out the cars, during practice and everything, and he crashed.
Yeah, that's true, but that's the thing. He's also had so little time on track. I think Fernando, no doubt, will be ahead at the first part of the season.
You've got to think about this though. Kimi will be qualifying either 9th, 8th, 7th. Mate, that is the crash zone if I've ever seen one.
Look, yeah, I agree with all of that. I do think that Fernando will be leading the rookies at the start of the season. I think as the season progresses...
Fernando will be leading the rookies?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
As in, I think Fernando will be ahead.
I thought you were saying Fernando was a rookie.
No. It's been a long time since he was a rookie.
The 40-year-old rookie.
We were almost not born when he was a rookie.
Yeah.
But I think he will be leading them at the start of the season. I think as the season progresses, I can't see someone in a Merc losing to an Aston. I just don't see it. And then in 8...
I see Kimi just building up to greatness.
Well, speaking of greatness, I have Kimi in 8th.
Yeah.
So
okay,
I have him... We're very similar, but I had
similar.
him ahead. Who did you have in 8th?
I had Fernando.
You had Fernando, that's right. Yeah, okay. So on to 7th
Very
then.
similar.
On to 7th. I have our good old New Zealand friend, Liam Lawson.
Same here.
I do love
Kiwi
Liam.
brew.
He is a volatile personality and I love him for it. It feels very much like having McEnroe on a tennis court, having Liam in the driver's cockpit.
He'll be the best rookie of the season by far.
By points?
By points.
By points?
By points, and I think he will get a podium. I mean, he is the designated number 2. That's the problem.
I do see a race win in, again, Brazil 2024 conditions where everything's gone to chaos, Max has crashed into someone else.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a wipeout on the grid and Liam suddenly finds himself in an opportunistic position in wet conditions. I could see him winning under those circumstances in a Red Bull.
Potential.
But yes, I put Liam in 7th. I do think he'll score more points than any other rookie, which brings us on to 6th. And now we're really coming to the pointy end of the stick.
This is going to be interesting.
Who do you have?
This is, I have Lewis Hamilton.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I have George Russell.
Wow. I know we're either going to be one of them.
I can't see Lewis losing to George yet.
I can, because When was the last time he'd driven a new car? Like 10 plus whatever.
I
years.
agree.
He's been in
I
Mercedes
agree.
for so long.
I think he's got a big
The new
uphill
car,
battle.
on the last day of testing, there was problems with the Ferrari.
I agree, but it's not a Ferrari if there are not issues. They go hand in hand.
And I wonder if that was Ferrari issues or Hamilton
it's probably
issues.
Ferrari issues, and it's probably a part of its charm.
Yeah, I know,
Ferrari
yeah,
needs to break down. It's like an Alfa Romeo. It's a beautiful piece of machinery that works 5% of the time, and that's why you love it.
I think he'll win a race. If he wins a race, if he wins a couple more, then yes, he will do better. But I can see him winning one race this season, and that's probably about it.
I don't disagree with you. I do think he's going to have an enormous uphill battle working in a new team, a new car, new chassis, new everything.
Yeah.
But it's remarkable how comfortable he looks in testing, how well he's already gelling with the team, with the car. He's already punching in very good laps.
He's just he was on full red.
And you know what? For all the same reasons, I've got Lewis in 5th, and I'm assuming you have George.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
So we've done a role reversal.
I mean, that was pretty much how it ended last season.
Essentially,
well, so
And I see Lewis losing out to George in the first half of the season, but once he's comfortable in those red overalls, I see him coming back through to cinch the victory over his former teammate. Which brings us on to 4th, and this is where we're really, there's only so many ways this can go. I've got Max.
Oh, wow!
I have Max.
I've got Oscar.
I want to put Max higher, but the Red Bull is looking like the third team at the moment.
It is last year. It was last year.
And based on testing, it's not looking any different, and we shouldn't expect it to be any different. There's not been that much time between the end of last season and now. The cars are effectively the same because we're not expecting the big changes until 2026.
That's the thing. I think Max will just be Mr. Consistent though throughout the season. Oscar, he's going to qualify better, but he won't be as consistent.
But if you want to talk about consistency though, Oscar was the most consistent point-scoring driver in the last
second half of the season.
And now we're basically starting the extension of 2024.
Full season now. I think it's between Oscar and Max.
I don't know.
I do.
I think Oscar's got the consistency to top Max, and that's exactly why I put him in 3rd.
And I have Max's 3rd.
Yeah. Okay. So we've done a reversal again.
We've done a reversal.
Interesting. Which brings us to the final 2, though.
Yeah.
And this is where it's we both have the same drivers, but it's about which order do we have these drivers.
I think we know. Drum roll.
In 2nd, we have Charlie Boy Leclerc. In 1st, we have Mr. Lando Norris. I think this is the year that Lando takes his maiden win, and I think he's partly being given this win because of the curse of Red Bull. They can't win more than 4 championships consecutively. The same thing happened with Seb. The same thing is now going to happen with Max.
I think the main difference compared to last season is McLaren will come out much stronger. They will be winning races compared to the first 10 races.
That's true. Yep.
They'll just be better in those first 10, and that will Lando will have most of the wins.
I agree.
Between Lando, Oscar, and Leclerc, I think. And
Look,
Max,
I think, and it's important to talk about Lando v Oscar because they're in the same machinery. I think Lando takes that victory partly because McLaren still quite clearly favors Lando. He's basically Zach's son, adopted son at this point. It's very much like Peter Parker and Happy in the new Spider-Man of the new MCU. They've got the same relationship, and I think no matter what is said publicly, Lando is still the favorite child, and they're gonna push for him to get the win before Oscar does. So I think Oscar, unfortunately, is gonna be used like a bit of a pawn in the title fight.
Unless Oscar's purely out-qualifying Lando.
Which I don't see happening either. I see it at very best being 50-50, but quite frankly, Oscar, whilst being more consistent, has lacked some of the raw pace that Lando has been able to put down. I do think that Ferrari v McLaren, that age-old battle, is going to be tight throughout the entire season.
Well, the main reason I think is because Oscar will be a better teammate than Lewis Hamilton as well.
I agree with that for sure. I definitely agree with that.
Better cohesion, they'll work better.
Yes.
They already know
Yes.
how to function. They had hurdles last season.
Well, that and can
Definitely.
you really see
But-
Lewis acting as a secondary driver?
Absolutely.
I mean,
not.
what happened when with Rosberg and Lewis? The last time that you had someone that
Yeah.
could match his level, you know,
Didn't end
sparks
well.
did
Didn't
fly.
end well.
Sparks did fly.
That's yeah.
So, yeah, I think we're in agreement on Lando being on top. I'm not particularly happy about it, to be honest. I know there's a lot of Lando fans. I didn't love his attitude towards last
He changed
year.
a fair bit. He was
Yeah.
he was a fun driver, and then it got serious
And
the
a
pressure built,
little bit
and-
sour. It was not,
Yeah.
you know, cut back to watching Lando narrowly give Oscar his maiden win.
Yeah.
It was not the best sportsmanship between teammates. And, you know, you use teammates loosely in F1 because your teammate really is your closest rival. But he could have returned the favor in a much friendlier fashion. But I'm sure they've all moved on from that now. Now let's move on to the makers, the manufacturers.
Let's just go through this rapid fire.
I agree. So coming in 10th, I think we agree Kick Sauber.
Yes.
The well done
Steak.
steak is going to be right at the back. Coming in second, ninth, I have RB.
I have Haas.
Interesting. I think you are definitely wrong.
Who
Haas
do you have at 8?
Haas has a better machine right now. That's why they're in 8th.
I have Alpine.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, in 7th, I have Alpine. I'm assuming you have RB.
Racing Bulls.
Yep,
They're
okay.
No longer RB, mate.
Oh, that's going to be tough to get rid of that vernacular. Coming in 6th, I have Williams.
Yeah, same.
And then in 5th, I have Aston.
Yeah, I think we're going to proceed very similar. From
Then
this point.
Merc, followed by Red Bull, Ferrari, and Mercedes.
Yeah, Mercedes will win back-to-back constructors.
McLaren, sorry.
McLaren. Yes. That was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago since they had their back-to-backs. But that is our predictions for the
Yes.
2024 season. We will do another prediction video as we get closer to the Australian GP, which we will be in attendance for, which I'm
Yes.
very excited about. So we'll be dropping a video predicting what we think the race results will be, who the top teams are going to be, and where I'm going to be personally placing my bets for the first opening race of the 2025 season.
I'm keen. Yeah, it's going to be fun. I am excited for this season. There's going to be lots of interesting stories.
This is true.
But stay tuned because there'll be more stories on this channel.
Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll catch you next time.